Claude just made every AI scheduler obsolete by doing the one thing ChatGPT and Gemini said was impossible.
Impossible? What are they doing differently? So we're breaking down how Claude's cloud scheduling works, what it can access, and why the competition can't catch up.
By minute 4, you'll have your first automated task running. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the AI Daily Podcast. Today's news and a deep dive to help you stay ahead in AI.
Today we're diving into Claude's scheduled tasks, finally fixed what ChatGPT, Gemini, and every other AI tool got wrong, XDA.
Stick around to the end for today's headlines. Let's dive right in.
So let's talk about something that just fundamentally changed the game for AI automation. Claude's new Scheduled Tasks feature. And I know what you're thinking, Alex. Scheduled tasks? Really? That's the breakthrough? But hear me out, because this is actually solving a problem that's been plaguing every major AI tool since ChatGPT launched.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Because when I think about ChatGPT, Gemini, all these tools, they're incredibly powerful, but they're basically just sitting there waiting for me to ask them something, right?
Exactly, and that's the fundamental limitation we've been living with. Every AI interaction has been reactive. You prompt, it responds, you prompt again. It's like having the world's most brilliant assistant who can only work when you're actively managing them. What Claude just shipped completely flips that model.
So walk me through what they're actually doing differently here. Because I've seen automation features in other AI tools. ChatGPT has plugins, Gemini has extensions.
Right, but those are still fundamentally reactive. They extend capabilities but don't change the interaction model. Claude's scheduled tasks come in 3 flavors. Co-work scheduled tasks in the desktop app, Claude Code cloud scheduled tasks, and CLI session scoped tasks. But here's the key difference. Each scheduled task runs as its own co-work session with full access to your files, connected tools, skills, and plugins every single time.
Wait, so it's not just running a prompt on a schedule? It's actually maintaining context and access to resources?
That's exactly it. And this is where it gets really interesting for automation. Because once a scheduled task completes, you don't even need to open the Claude app to see the output. It's already done its work, potentially updated files, sent notifications through connected tools, whatever you've configured it to do.
Okay, but I'm seeing a potential issue here. The article mentions that scheduled tasks only run when your computer is on and the Claude desktop app is running. That seems like a pretty significant limitation for true automation.
You're absolutely right, and that's currently the biggest complaint from users. The desktop-dependent tasks are limited by that constraint, but they've also introduced cloud-scheduled tasks, which are more developer-focused and work with connectors you've linked to your Claude account. Those don't have the same limitation.
So we're looking at a hybrid model. Some tasks that need your local environment, others that can run in the cloud. That's actually pretty smart from an architecture standpoint.
It is, and it reveals something important about Anthropic's approach. They're not trying to boil the ocean here. They're acknowledging that some automation needs local file access and context, while other tasks can be purely cloud-based. It's pragmatic.
But this raises a bigger question. Why did it take this long for someone to crack autonomous task execution? I mean, we've had cron jobs and scheduled tasks in traditional software for decades.
That's the million-dollar question, and it gets to the heart of why this matters. The technical challenge isn't just about running something on a schedule. It's about maintaining context, managing state, and ensuring the AI can operate autonomously without constantly needing human validation or correction.
Right, because with traditional scheduled tasks, you're running deterministic code. But with AI, you're dealing with probabilistic outputs that might need guardrails, error handling, context management.
Exactly. And that's what makes this breakthrough so significant. Coming up, we'll dig into exactly how they pulled this off technically, what it means for the competitive landscape with OpenAI and Google, and why this might be the beginning of a fundamental shift in how we think about AI automation. So let's get into the technical meat of how Claude actually pulled this off. Because when you think about it, the challenge here isn't just scheduling. It's about creating an AI system that can operate with genuine autonomy while maintaining reliability.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this co-work session concept they're using. How does that actually work under the hood?
From what we can piece together, each scheduled task essentially spins up its own isolated environment with persistent access to your configured resources. Think of it like a containerized AI workspace that activates on schedule, does its work, and then preserves the output. The key innovation is that it's not just running a prompt, it's running a full session with stateful access to tools and context.
That's fascinating from an architecture standpoint. So they're essentially solving the cold start problem by maintaining these session contexts, but that must have significant resource implications.
Absolutely. And that's likely why we're seeing this hybrid approach with desktop tasks and cloud tasks. The desktop tasks can leverage local compute and storage, while cloud tasks handle more lightweight, API-driven workflows. It's a smart way to balance resource constraints with functionality.
Let's talk about the competitive implications here, because OpenAI has been dominant in the conversational AI space. Google's been pushing hard with Gemini, but neither has cracked this autonomous execution problem. Why do you think Anthropic got there first?
I think it comes down to focus and philosophy. OpenAI has been chasing AGI and pushing the boundaries of model capabilities. Google's been trying to integrate AI across their entire ecosystem. But Anthropic has been laser-focused on making AI that's actually useful and reliable for real work. This scheduled tasks feature is a perfect example of that philosophy in action.
But couldn't OpenAI or Google quickly copy this feature? I mean, they have the resources and technical talent.
They could, but it's not just about the feature. It's about the entire system architecture. Claude's approach with co-work sessions, the way they handle tool integration, the focus on reliability over raw capability, these are fundamental design decisions that aren't trivial to replicate. Plus, Anthropic now has first-mover advantage in autonomous AI workflows.
Let's get specific about use cases. What kinds of scheduled tasks are people actually building with this?
The early adopters are doing some really interesting things. I'm seeing automated report generation that pulls data from multiple sources, processes it through Claude, and delivers formatted insights on a schedule. There are people building automated code review systems that scan repositories, identify potential issues, and even suggest fixes. Marketing teams are using it for content calendars. Claude generates, reviews, and schedules social media posts automatically.
That's powerful, but I'm wondering about error handling and reliability. What happens when a scheduled task fails or produces unexpected output?
That's the current frontier they're working on. Right now, error handling is somewhat basic. You get notifications of failures, but recovery and retry logic isn't as sophisticated as you'd want for mission-critical automation. This is where the AI safety focus of Anthropic becomes really important. They're being cautious about autonomous execution, for good reason.
Speaking of safety, there's an interesting philosophical question here. As AI becomes more autonomous, how do we maintain appropriate human oversight without defeating the purpose of automation?
That's the core tension in this entire space. Too much oversight, and you haven't really automated anything. Too little, and you risk AI making decisions it shouldn't. Claude's approach seems to be giving users fine-grained control over what tasks can access and do, but within those boundaries, letting the AI operate freely.
The technical implementation details are crucial here. The fact that cloud-scheduled tasks work with account-level connectors suggests they're building a proper authentication and authorization layer. That's non-trivial when you're dealing with AI that might need to access sensitive business data or systems.
Absolutely. And this is where the competitive moat starts to form. It's not just about having scheduled tasks. It's about having a robust, secure, reliable system for autonomous AI execution. That takes time to build and even more time to earn trust.
The performance implications are interesting too. Traditional automation tools are deterministic and fast. AI automation is probabilistic and computationally expensive. How do you balance that?
From what we're seeing, Claude is taking a pragmatic approach. Not every task needs the full power of their largest model. They're likely using model routing, smaller, faster models for routine tasks, larger models for complex analysis. It's about being smart with resources while maintaining quality.
What about the business model implications? Scheduled tasks that run autonomously could consume a lot more API calls than traditional chat interactions.
That's a great point, and it reveals something important about where the AI market is headed. We're moving from a per-interaction pricing model to something more like compute as a service. Anthropic will need to figure out pricing that works for continuous automation without making it prohibitively expensive. Stick around. We'll dive into exactly what this means for teams looking to implement AI automation and the specific steps you should be taking right now. All right, so let's get practical here. If you're a team looking at AI automation, Claude's scheduled tasks just opened up a whole new playbook. But the question is, how do you actually implement this in a way that delivers real value?
Yeah, because I can see the potential, but I'm also thinking about all the ways this could go wrong if not implemented thoughtfully. What's the right way to approach this?
First thing, start small and specific. Don't try to automate your entire workflow on day one. Pick one repetitive task that's currently eating up human hours but doesn't require complex judgment calls. Maybe it's daily stand-up summaries, weekly report generation, or routine data analysis. Get that working reliably before you expand.
That makes sense. What about the technical prerequisites? What does a team need to have in place?
You need three things: clear data sources that Claude can access, well-defined output requirements, and most importantly, human review processes for the first few weeks. Even though these tasks run autonomously, you want humans spot-checking outputs until you're confident in the reliability.
The desktop versus cloud decision seems crucial too. How should teams think about that?
It comes down to your use case. Desktop tasks are perfect for scenarios where you need local file access or integration with desktop applications. Think document processing, local database queries, or integration with tools that don't have APIs. Cloud tasks are better for API-driven workflows, web scraping, or anything that needs to run 24/7 without a desktop dependency.
What about security and compliance? I'm thinking about teams in regulated industries who might be nervous about autonomous AI accessing sensitive data.
Critical question. The approach here is to treat Claude's scheduled tasks like any other automation tool from a security standpoint. That means principle of least privilege. Only give tasks access to the specific data and tools they need. Use Claude's connector permissions to limit scope, and absolutely implement audit logging so you can track what tasks are doing.
Let's talk about ROI. How should teams measure the success of AI automation initiatives?
Traditional automation metrics still apply: time saved, error reduction, consistency improvements. But with AI automation, you also need to track quality metrics. Are the outputs meeting your standards? Is the AI catching edge cases appropriately? I recommend establishing baseline metrics before automation and then measuring improvement.
How do you manage the human side of this? How do you manage the transition when AI starts taking over tasks that people used to do?
This is where leadership matters. Frame it as augmentation, not replacement. The goal isn't to eliminate jobs, but to free people from repetitive work so they can focus on higher value activities. The employees who used to compile reports can now spend time analyzing insights and making strategic recommendations.
Looking ahead, where do you see this technology going? What should teams be preparing for?
We're at the beginning of a fundamental shift. Today it's scheduled tasks, but we're heading toward truly autonomous AI agents that can handle complex multi-step workflows with minimal human oversight. Teams that start building experience with AI automation now will be positioned to leverage these capabilities as they mature.
Any specific predictions for the next 12 months?
I expect we'll see rapid feature parity as OpenAI and Google race to catch up. We'll likely see more sophisticated error handling, better integration with enterprise tools, and possibly even AI-to-AI communication for complex workflows. The key is building your automation architecture in a way that's flexible enough to adopt these improvements as they come.
What mistakes should teams avoid when getting started with AI automation?
The biggest mistake is over-automation too quickly. Just because you can automate something doesn't mean you should. Each automated task adds complexity to your system. Start with high-frequency, low-risk tasks, build confidence, then gradually expand to more complex automation.
Last question. For a team that's convinced and wants to start tomorrow,
What's the literal first step?
Document your current repetitive workflows. Seriously, spend a week tracking every task that happens on a schedule or follows a predictable pattern. Rank them by frequency and time consumption. Then, pick the top one that has clear inputs and outputs. That's your pilot project. Get that working with Claude's scheduled tasks, measure the impact, and use that success to build momentum for broader automation initiatives.
This really does feel like a watershed moment for AI automation.
It is. We've moved from AI as a tool you use to AI as a colleague that works alongside you. And here's the thing. The teams that figure out how to leverage autonomous AI effectively won't just save time, they'll fundamentally change how work gets done. The question isn't whether AI automation is coming to your industry, it's whether you'll be leading that change or playing catch-up. Before we wrap up, let's catch up on this week's infrastructure news. There's a fascinating new development in the AI landscape. Microsoft is taking a multi-model approach with Copilot. According to the new stack, they're actually using both OpenAI's GPT and Anthropic's Claude models together in their Copilot researcher agent.
Wait, so they're not just relying on OpenAI anymore? That's quite a shift.
Exactly. They're using these models in tandem. One creates drafts while the other reviews them. It's like having two AI brains working together, which could significantly improve output quality.
Speaking of OpenAI, TechCrunch is reporting on why they're shutting down Sora, their video generation tool. Turns out it's all about the money.
Right. The article suggests Sora was essentially a financial black hole. Video generation at scale is incredibly expensive, and apparently the economics just didn't work out.
Which makes the timing interesting, because another TechCrunch piece points out that VCs are still pouring billions into AI's next wave. There's this disconnect between the hype and the harsh realities of running these services.
It really highlights the challenge. Everyone wants the next big AI breakthrough, but the operational costs can be staggering.
On a more practical note, Volkswagen Group is showing how established companies can leverage AI effectively. They've partnered with AWS's Generative AI Innovation Center to build an entire marketing image generation pipeline.
According to the AWS blog, they're using Amazon SageMaker for this end-to-end solution. It's not just about generating images. They've built evaluation systems, too.
That's smart. Quality control is crucial when you're a brand like Volkswagen.
And speaking of AWS innovations, they've just detailed how to build a hyper-personalized movie assistant using Amazon Bedrock Agent Core and their new Nova Sonic 2.0.
This goes beyond just basic recommendations, right?
Way beyond. The AWS blog explains it can handle movie recommendations and scene analysis, creating truly personalized viewer experiences. It's showing how agentic AI can transform entertainment consumption.
These developments really show the dual nature of AI right now. We're seeing both the limitations with Sora's shutdown and the expanding possibilities with Microsoft's multi-model approach and these AWS implementations.
That wraps up today's news.
That's our show for today.
If you found this valuable, please subscribe and share with a friend who'd appreciate it.
Drop us a comment with your thoughts on today's topic.
Links to everything we discussed are in the show notes.
Until next time.